This is my giant loop Tillamook bag. I actually carry two of them for our around the world journey, and it is really, in my opinion, about the greatest duffel bag, dry bag I have ever encountered. It is phenomenal. I mean, there's just no end to the great features on this. It is incredibly durable, waterproof, opens at the top and the bottom, has the daisy chain loops here, has this, this nozzle so that you can get the air out. Pretty much has everything, even the handholds on the sides, and it works as a backpack. Now, I have swapped out the original just sort of basic straps for a bit more of a comfortable backpack strap here, and this just works beautifully. So this is the Tillamook bag, and the use is to carry your luggage on your motorcycle right on the passenger seat in the luggage rack, right? Makes sense. We all know that. What we don't necessarily know is there are some other valuable uses for this duffel. Can't do it with any other duffel bag on the market, only with this one. And they're really sort of the kind of things that actually do come up during and around the world motorcycle trips. So the first thing, a wind block, okay? All kinds of campsites where you hit loads of wind. And the thing you want to do in a windy camping situation is to use your bike as a wind block. Now, obviously you want to think it through, because the last thing you want is your bike toppling over in severe wind right on top of your tent. But accounting for distances and safety measures, using your bike, particularly if you have you and your partner, as there's Jess and I, we've got two bikes that can be positioned together, and that is a substantial wind block to protect the tent. Now, there are openings in your bike between the wheels, between the two bikes, etc., underneath. That's where this guy comes in. Wind block fills in the gaps, and incidentally makes it more difficult for a ninja to leap over and get through and attack you in your tent. So that was number one of our 5 unusual uses of the Tillamook bag. Number 2, on a similar vein, is as a sandbag. Okay, so putting this on the corner of your tent, okay, as sort of an additional stake or to keep things down. We were doing some events last summer, the Revzilla ADV Fest and Overland Expo and some other events where things got really windy really quickly. And a full Tillamook bag, whether filled with your gear or filled with sand and rocks and other things, makes for a hell of a sandbag. So that's use number 2. Use number 3 is for collecting firewood at the campsite. Once this is empty, you've set up your tent, you've set up all of your gear, your campsite is ready. Now you got to make your fire. You go collecting firewood. And you've got the perfect device for it. Why go and carry it in your arms and get splinters when you can use your Tillamook? The added beautiful thing about this is you're thinking, well, but then I've got all this this stuff, this dirt, this schmutz, as they say, in my dry bag, and it's going to get on my stuff and all that. No, you won't. Why? Because this opens at the bottom and the top, and so you can shake it right out, you can hose it right out, whatever you got to do, and it's clean. But best way to collect firewood at the campsite. Unusual use for the Tillamook dry bag, number 4, a ground tarp, okay? So in rainy conditions, like what we experienced some of those days up on the Dempster Highway going to the Arctic Ocean, things get wet quickly. Well, this dry bag, once it's empty, you can put this on the ground, and then you sort of have an additional dry location where you can put dishes, you can put clothes, whatever you need to put. This is one more location that can be flattened out and can serve essentially as a nightstand, a stool, a table, something that you would have that would be dry, and you can put your things on it. Final use of our 5 unusual uses for the Tillamook dry bag, and that is as a washing machine. What? Yes, a washing machine. This is a travel washing machine. How in the world do you do that? Well, the first question is, why in the world would you do it? If you're far enough away from civilization and you need some undies, some socks, whatever washed, really the worst thing that you can do is sort of hand wash and sort of scrape it on a stone or one of those washers. When I lived in Africa, all my clothes were always like 3 sizes too big, and it was either because I was shrinking or my clothes were expanding. I think it was the latter, hopefully. And that's because you're just pulling and yanking at it the whole time. Well, this basically is a spin cycle, okay? So what you do is, it's a waterproof bag, you fill it with water, you put some detergent in there, right? You put your clothes in there, you close it up, and you just agitate this guy. You agitate it, you let it sit, you agitate it, you let it sit, and then you rinse everything out, and you've got a pretty solid cleaning job in about 10-15 minutes. So those are my 5 unusual uses for the Giant Loop Tillamook dry bag. These are not uses that they are going to be advertising, but they are important, valuable uses on an around the world motorcycle trip, and they might come up, so keep it handy. We have a 6th bonus use, and this one wasn't even something I came up with. We can thank Whimsy for that. It is a makeshift waterproof dog bed tarp.